You may at one point in your life have owned a Commodore 64. You may during that point have owned a copy of Space Taxi. You may have enjoyed it. But you probably didn't ever wonder, is this game available for any other systems? Today we'll be looking at a clone called Space Cab for the Macintosh. Space Cab was the work of Kevin Quigley, also going by the alias of Peace, Love and World Grooviness Software Inc. I can't help but feel there should be more company names like that. Jumping straight in then, the splash screen will take you to the main menu, which will in turn take you to the first level. You might even say it's... well, I don't even need to say it. So what do you do in the game? Well, in Space Cab, your objective is to ferry passengers from one pad to the other. When you run out of pads in a level, exit to the top of the screen to visit the next one. Space Cab was released in 1997, and so naturally looks a bit better than Space Taxi. It sounds better too. There are a handful of levels that have a bit of music in the background, but chiefly all you'll be hearing is the noise of the thrusters from the ship, and the occasional object making a noise. The point system in this game is your fare. The quicker you get a passenger to their destination, the more money they'll fork over. Ways to cock up your fare include getting lost, or hitting something and blowing up. Passengers do not appreciate being part of an exploding taxi, and the fare will drop considerably if that happens. In this game, you have 10 lives to play with. Ways of losing the lives include smashing into terrain, smashing into an object flying around, and running out of fuel. The fuel bar is located on the right of the screen, and will deplete as you use your thrusters. In order to get the most out of your fuel bar, you will need to make intelligent use of whatever gravity effects are going on in the level, and of course take the most efficient route from one pad to the other. For cab control, I recommend the arrow keys. This is the most responsive method to getting your cab around, but you can also use the mouse. The only reason I can think anyone would want to do this is to artificially crank up the difficulty level. Here's me trying now. I am simply trying to bring the cab down onto the pad. However, moving the mouse down accelerates it far too fast, and trying to correct this by moving it up sends it into the air. Speed management with the mouse is non-existent. After the early levels, the game will start to get a bit more interesting, as more and more mechanics are introduced. In this example here, we have projectiles flying around the screen. These of course are not to be touched. Other quirks include things that will either drag or push your cab around the screen. This black hole idea has been lifted directly from Space Taxi. And in this level, the wind, simulated by the direction of the chicken, will blow you from left to right. Another little point to make is that you are invulnerable from projectiles while sat on a pad. All in all, the levels are very diverse. There will always be something new or interesting going on that you'll have to navigate around. There are a handful of maze-like levels, which can be a little bit tedious to complete. But on the other hand, the satisfaction from completing them is a lot higher. I'd put this down to the intensity of the fuel management, as naturally, more effort in keeping the cab steady will burn a lot more gas. This is one of my favourite levels. As well as ferrying passengers from A to B, you also need to be mindful of the falling bombs. Flying into them will catch them and prevent them from exploding. If you are airborne during the explosion, it will take you with it, so be mindful of that. I have noticed that if you catch a bomb, you'll be rewarded with $1. Clearly the residents of the city do not value their lives very much. Here's another concept that Space Taxi players will be familiar with. These buzzing orbs will tit around with your thruster system, and frequently send you skittering off to your doom. Overall, Space Cab is a solid little game. I don't think it does very much to the formula. It doesn't really come up with any new ideas. But then again, if all you had was a Mac, then this would have been the only way to play a game like this. Space Cab is compatible with macOS 7 through 9. You can also play it on Classic mode on one of the older OS X systems, and it also runs very well under emulation. If you have Sheepshaver on your Mac or PC, that'll run it absolutely fine. There are two versions available for download at the Macintosh Garden. Version 1.0 is registered, and version 1.2, which you can see here, is not. I wasn't actually aware that 1.2 existed up until recently. I found it by chance while browsing the author's website archive on the Wayback Machine. This version benefits from a slight enhancement to the interface and the capability to load new levels through level packs. Because it is unregistered, I've been unable to try this feature, so hopefully we'll find a code at some point. You can find a link to the download below this video. So, if you enjoyed Space Taxi, you'll probably enjoy Space Cab. If you have a system that can run it, I wholeheartedly recommend that you give it a go. Thanks ever so much for watching.